ReiReimu.
目を覚ます。
It's a great story.
目を覚ます。
Gonna make ReiReimu Recap Remake Part 2.
目を覚ませばか。うわ
ぁ。
トラッシュさん、レイレイ夢総集編を続、そうだっただければ本当に嬉しいです。
Yeah, of course, Reimu. I'll get it done. Greetings everyone, I hope you're all having a good day, as I am. Why, you may ask? Because I get to talk more about ReiReimu, which is one of the best stories ever written. Bit of context, this is a remake of a video series I made back in 2020, where I originally did a recap of ReiReimu, but those videos have aged pretty poorly, so I want to improve them. This is a part 2, so I highly recommend watching the first part before watching this video, as it will make a lot more sense of what's going to happen. But if you are returning from part 1, I'll offer a quick retelling on what happened previously to refresh your memory. ReiReimu is a sequel series to Osan Reimu, which now takes place between Immaterial and Missing Power and Imperishable Night, and last time I covered 3 episodes where we got to meet fully grown Reimu and the tiny yokai Rumia. They did some cute stuff together, but Rumia's seal broke, so she reverted back to her previous form and now threatens all of Gensokyo with her massive ball of darkness. Yukari was ready to sacrifice her to save Gensokyo, but Reimu realized how much the little yokai means to her, and with the help of Marisa defeated Yukari, and now they're heading towards the ball of darkness to stop Rumia from destroying Gensokyo. Things are going to get a lot more interesting the more we continue, so I do not want to stall you any longer, so this is ReiReimu Recap Remake Part 2. We pick up from episode 3 where Reimu and Marisa are heading towards Rumia's blob. Marisa starts hesitating until Reimu says that they just need to get close to it, and then the blob starts attacking them. They try their best dodging the attacks, but as they realize they can't progress like this, a huge explosion destroys the projectiles, and it's revealed to be Remilia and the rest of Scarlet Devil's mansion's residents. And then it appears that Alice, Yomu, Suika, Daiose and Cirno have all come to join their fight to save Rumia. This scene is another example of Reimu is so different from Miko, as Reimu got so many allies to help her reach Rumia. Sure, Reimu attempts to hide her feelings, but is relieved that she got backup. If she decided to do her job as a yokai hunter, she won't have a chance to reach Rumia's blob. And this scene where everyone gets their own spell card portrait is really cool in my opinion, so I have to mention it here at least. Then we get this really cool action scene of everyone helping Reimu and Marisa continue their mission, like with Remilia using her spear, Yomu cutting the hand. I just love the uniqueness of spell cards, as it's very personal to every character. And then Marisa gets a wonderful idea.
あいつら見てたらちょっと気が変わった。ここは私に任せな。あんた、まさか。ジンク。
I really like this scene, as it's really funny how Marisa's laughing like a maniac while Reimu's trying her best to hang on, and despite things being so grim, it's nice to have some humor to help lighten up the situation. As they're fast approaching the blob, Marisa decides to leave the rest to Reimu, as she knows how much she wants to save Rumia, and even when Reimu tries to hide how she feels, she knows she is lying and proceeds to throw her at high speeds. I like how overconfident Marisa is, who calls Reimu a whiner, which is rather the funny thing about how Marisa used to be a shy crybaby and now is this cool witch with an even cooler laser beam. But her overconfidence was about to be the end of her if Yuka didn't appear. And it just wasn't her who came to help, as Yukari launches trains at the blob. It's rather interesting how she came to assist Reimu despite being disappointed in her moments earlier and getting beaten up by her and Marisa. But I guess the situation is desperate enough that even a Gap yokai herself came to help. And Yuka, being the bad bitch she is, says that she joins the Vara will kill anyone who gets in her way.
やっべえ、私、大ピンチだぜ り
I have one word to describe this episode. Awesome. It was just amazing to see so many different Touhou characters assist Reimu with Rumiya, and it was even cooler that Yuka and Yukari, two yokai chasers who won't normally intervene, decided to join forces with the other people. I mean, sure, most characters didn't really do much, but still, it's so amazing to see how Reimu's actions have made her so many friends and allies who are willing to risk their lives to help her out. I also really like how this episode gave Shirno a chance to shine, as he regained the extra brain cell used to fight off the blob, and the music. Oh man, the music really sold this all. Like I mentioned in my ReiReimu remake, I told how much I love this series' music. It's mostly remixes from the games, but they're really well done, and some of the original tracks that this Touhou has are also really good. I will now play a few tracks before we transition to the next part, and you'll realize why I love this OST so much. Episode 4 Part 2 starts off with Reimu meeting Yukari and her just collapsing onto Reimu from exhaustion and starts laughing about getting old. It's rather weird to see such a human side to Yukari, as normally she's cunning, but here she's honest about her not being in her prime years anymore. She then questions Reimu about her plans to save Rumiya and decides to reveal everything to her when it seems Reimu is determined to continue with her plan. This episode is mostly exposition and recaps on what happened at the end of ReiReimu, but it's very important to the plot, so I'll try my best to explain it. So if you have seen ReiReimu, you probably already know a few things Yukari tells us about, like how Rumiya's darkness came from Hakurei Miko and how she forced herself to refrain from eating humans, even though she was on the brink of starvation because she loved them. Her sins kept crushing her, so she eventually chose her own death over murdering any more people. It's really sad when you remember what led her to this. It was that Rumiya was never satisfied with her life, always feeling endless hunger, so when she eventually found meaning to her life with the help of Miko and Reimu, her nature as a yokai started affecting her, even nearly killing Reimu due to being so hungry. Miko knew about her sins and as her closest friend created a plan to save her. Rumiya feeds on darkness that is found in humans, so Miko gave her a lifetime supply of it. Reimu's rather disturbed by the way Yukari describes all of this, and I can't blame her, as I would probably not use words like greatest meal to describe what happened, especially when you remember that this is about her mother. Miko also put 2 seals on her, one to keep the massive amount of dark energy constrained to a minimum, and the other one to cover up her sins, aka turn her smile and wipe her memories, which Yukari calls a double-layered seal. Only Miko was able to grant Rumia's wish to never have to eat another human again. No one else could have done it, as she was Rumia's closest friend. Even though we all had somewhat of an idea on what was Miko's plan, I really appreciated that Joyful dedicated some extra time to tell us about her plans with more details, even though some of them are disturbing. I also liked the explanation for Rumia's seals, as it was rather unclear how exactly they function, so props to Joyful for that as well. And we get to see even more of a human side to Yukari as she starts crying about her not being able to save Miko, and it's rather refreshing to see, as again she's manipulative and cunning yokai and mainly has 2 moods, smug and even more smug. And Reimu, who usually tends to avoid Yukari, doesn't say anything or try to push her away like usual and just comforts her, which I also really appreciate, because usually in fanworks people depict Reimu as this unlikable asshole when in actuality she's one of the kindest people who just doesn't like to talk about her feelings. And she knows how important Miko was to Yukari, so she just lets her to have a shoulder to cry on. Yukari then says that this is the worst case scenario as the seal has dissolved and Rumia must be in the utter state of despair. And Reimu must now make a difficult decision, either risk Gensokyo's existence or kill Rumia to save it. But even though all seems lost, Yukari knows that if anyone could save her, it will be Reimu. After all, she saved her once before, and it then shows the scene from episode 3 of Osan and Reimu where she splits the rice ball so they can eat together. After the train crashes through the blob, we see how the environment has become a hellish landscape which no mortal could survive in. But Reimu doesn't have much of a choice but to keep going. She then finds Rumia in the darkness and she's oddly calm, like scarily calm. After the end credits, Yukari wakes up outside of the train with jumping in tears. Fran then shows up to complain to Yukari that she must have realized that her trains ruined the seals they set down. So the seals actually could have worked and Yukari lied about them being useless at 3rd episode's ending. Why would she lie and not proceed with the eradication of the darkness when she knows it's a threat to their existence? Maybe, just maybe, Yukari shares the same views as Reimu and wants Rumia to be safe so things could return back to how they were, or maybe there's something else going on that we won't really know until at a later date. It remains to be seen. Either way, while Yukari tries to play it cool, Ran sees through it and wishes her to share her burden and have faith in them, because they're her family after all. So Yukari decides to leave the rest for them and rest on the tree. So few things I want to say. Number 1, the feelings are real. Number 2, pain. 3, even more pain. 4, Reimu's fucking dead. Even though this episode was mostly exposition, it still managed to hit hard, especially when you know how impactful Miko's sacrifice was, as she wanted Rumia to be happy and continue living on. I especially enjoyed how Yukari showed more of her vulnerable side, as we never get to see this side of her, and how Reimu gave her a shoulder to cry on. Speaking of Reimu, she's dead! Rumia straight up murdered her. This truly can't be the end, as Reimu won't go down that easily, so how about we continue and see how this all ends. So obviously I exaggerated. Reimu obviously isn't dead, there's no way she will go down without a fight. The way her decoy turns into a counterattack is pretty cool to me, and Rumiya is really scary this time around as she has that dead-looking eyes with a permanent smile. And that creepy ass music that played in the beginning just makes all of this just a nightmare fuel.
あれだけ敵意むき出してきたら嫌でも警戒するわよ。それにしてもあなた本当にあいつなの？
ええ、紛れもなく私よ。
そうだったら話が早いわ。
Reimu then threatens to kick Rumiya's ass and make her get rid of the blob, to which Rumiya just scarily answers back and starts acting like she was taken straight out of a horror movie.
私は何か何でも絶対にこの闇を解く気はないわ。そうすると解く方法はもう一つしかないわね。あなたは私を殺せるかしらね。
So the fight for the fate of Gensokyo begins as Reimu tries her best to block the acidic darkness as Rumiya taunts her for not trying to kill her and keeps bombarding Reimu. She then sends decoys of her to distract Rumiya, and when Reimu gets a chance to hit her back with a sealing needle, she hesitates when the memories of little Rumiya flashes through her mind and cancels the attack. This fight is very interesting as it's the reverse of Miko's and Rumiya's fight. Miko, the previous Rei maiden, was violently beating Rumiya while she avoided any lethal blows due to remembering the good times with Miko. While Reimu, the new Rei maiden, clearly avoids using attacks that won't hurt Rumiya too much as she doesn't want to hurt the little girl she used to be, and even has the same hesitations as Rumiya did as seen with her cancelling the needle attack. Rumiya clearly is not impressed with Reimu not trying to kill her, to which she tries to ask if she knows that her darkness is destroying Gensokyo, to which Rumiya calmly answers her question.
知ってるわよ。そのために大きくしてるんですもの。ならどうして？
Rumiya then starts monologuing about her intentions, explaining that the darkness is overflowing with hatred, sorrow and wrath as Miko's memories start to project to Reimu's head, showing how despite her keeping the humans safe from yokai, she felt a lot of regret for the people who died around her. This is not only incredibly sad but rather creepy as well, with the imagery of Miko's face and the wall of saris. And I guess Reimu as well got enough of it and used a bomb to blow away the darkness surrounding her. Reimu then finally realizes why all of this is happening. Rumiya wants to get revenge for Miko as she saw everything about her. Miko tried her hardest for the sake of humans and yokais, but despite all of that, despite doing so much for them, eventually at the end she was hated by yokai and humans alike.
誰にも愛されず嫌われて。そんなのあんまりよ。
So Rumiya is going to avenge her hatred and sorrow, but not on the people but Gensokyo itself. And Reimu's face perfectly captures the utter madness as the blob starts to tear Gensokyo apart. We then get to witness Rumiya's true power as she uses the darkness to power up and transform into the same terrifying form Miko used in the last moments. It's really interesting to see how Rumiya has become like a twisted mirror image of Miko as she used her darkness as raw power to uphold the balance. Rumiya instead turns into this angel of death to destroy the world. And despite Reimu's best attempt of defeating Rumiya with a single blast of this new darkness, she's out of the fight. She starts wondering what she is doing and claims this is boring, just like back in episode 2's flashbacks, and then we move back to the same moment where she was first starting out her Shrine Maiden duties. She is rather irritated that Yukari laughs at her excuse while she explains what will happen if she doesn't do her duty.
だったらこういうのはどうかしら？それ。 人を傷つける力であっても物は使いようね。使い方次第では人を魅了させるものにだってなるわ。
She then asks that if Reimu doesn't like how things are being done now, she should change them. It's a much harder task which none of the previous Hakurei had tried to achieve, but if she succeeds at implementing the new system, it will create a Gensokyo where both humans and yokai can laugh together.
それでどうする？やってみる？
私は。ああ、やってられない。妖怪退治とか幻想郷がどうとかうちうち考えてバカみたい。結局私がやれることなんてこれしかないじゃない。スペルカード、ここからが本当の戦いよ。さあ始めましょう。この世最も無駄なゲーム、ダウマッコッコ始まるよ。
Chills man, pure chills. Despite Reimu being severely out of her element due to Rumia using lethal force, I absolutely love how Reimu still insists on doing things her way, the Danmaku way. This moment is just really cool, and I really liked how Yukari solved the origins of Danmaku and how it would eventually be delved into the spell card system that everyone uses. It's truly a much more beatable way to uphold balance rather than beating someone up with a stick. And oh man, Reimu just keeps on delving. She kept lying to herself and others about wanting to save Rumia, but when push comes to shove, she solves her true feelings with avoiding hurting Rumia and just straight up admits that she looks like an idiot whenever she tries to kill a yokai the old-fashioned way, so she'd rather have the world's most useless game, Danmaku. After all, it was Reimu who invented the spell card rules that makes Danmaku duels not to the death but just pairing matches with agreed upon winning and losing conditions. And I have to repeat myself, Reimu is very different from Miko, not only from how they fight, like Miko specializing in heavy close range combat, while Reimu flies with a floaty style and likes to keep her distance, but especially how Reimu challenged the Hakurei traditions and invented a system that allowed yokais and humans to laugh together. After all, in all of these episodes we see Reimu being surrounded by all different types of yokais, ghosts and fairies, so her system works really well. So as she prepares for her hardest battle, I must end this second part here. Thank you for watching, it honestly means a lot to me that you made it this far. The third episode will be the final video on the remake series and probably the hardest to make, as it will be hard to work on the video when you're crying your optics out. So again, thank you for watching, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, comment down below your own thoughts regarding this second part, and have a wonderful day.